America, very great country, was made by some good, very good people, but also by a very, very notorious criminals. Because don't forget, if you want to learn everything in the United States, you can, because you have a teacher for anything in the United States. Anything has his story in the United States. If you want to be a bad guy, you have your teacher here. If you want to be a good guy, you have your teacher. So it is a choice, a life choice issue. Ladies, gentlemen, today we are going to discover, we are going to see again another aspects of the life in the United States, this great country. This great country has a story of anything, of everything. Today, we are going to talk about the Outlaws. The Outlaws, meaning we are going to talk about the story of the crime in this great country. America has his own story of the crime. So, according to the Justice Department, the Justice Department proceeded with the classification of the criminals in this country. America, very great country, was made by some good, very good people, but also by a very, very notorious criminals. So if you go through the classification of the Justice Department, you are going to find 10 groups of the outlaws. The outlaws who made also this country. As one writer say, history is nothing more than a tableau of crime and misfortunes. I repeat one more time this quotation of one writer, French writer. History is nothing more than a tableau of crime and misfortunes, wrote the 18th century French writer Voltaire. His name is Voltaire. It is a big philosopher who also speak out about the crime. So in the United States, the Justice Department classify the criminals in 10 groups, very, very 10 group. The first group is the mobsters, very, very popular group of the criminals. The head of this this group is Al Capone. Al Capone was very, very famous, was very, very active in the United States. more than 1 century ago. So the first group are the mobsters. The second group of the outlaws in the United States is the group of racketeers and gamblers. We found out that gambling was prohibited in this country, but it was part of the money making in the history of this country. The second group, again, is the group of the mobsters, sorry, the racketeers and the gamblers, just after the mobsters. The third group, according to the classification of the Justice Department, we have the robbers. The America has a very long story of the robbery of the banks, of another property. They have one lady very famous from Arizona. Her children, it was a family business, the robbery. So the robbers are the third group. The fourth group of the outlaws in the United States is the group of the computer criminals. This is the fourth group. The invention of the computer, the progress made in the computer, make the work very easy for the bank, for so many things. But unfortunately, the computer became another aspect of the crime, because in this country, the computer criminals use password, use many things to steal money from the banks. So this fourth group are the computer criminals. The fifth group, according to the classification of the Justice Department, are the spies. The spies, meaning the espionage. So most of the cases in this situation were between United States and China, between United States and Russia. People from the United States or from Russia or from China who were selling some information, scientific information, was dealing with the espionage. So the fifth group are the spies. The sixth group of the outlaws, the operation of the outlaws in the United States, I say the sixth group are the terrorists. They call them the terrorists. This group, we have a very, very famous, the McVeigh, who who threw the bomb in Oklahoma. Very, very famous domestic terrorist too. So today we are going to see succinctly this 10 group of the outlaws in the United States. So the terrorist is the sixth group. The seventh group are the swindlers. The swindlers are very, very famous, very active in the United States. People who know how to speak to the people. People know who know how to find the vulnerable people, mentally vulnerable. You can speak to them, they can trust you, and give you what he didn't supposed to give to you as information, because people use this good faith to bring very bad crime around society. So the swindlers are very, very dangerous. They are not too violent, but they know how to speak to the people, and you can take all of your money, of your references, give to them, this kind of the people. So the swindlers are the 7th group. The 8th group are the bandit and gunslingers. This specific group was operating around Texas, the bandit and gunslingers. The 8th group of the Outlaws in the United States, I can say the 9th group right now, are the bootleggers. The bootleggers are part of the story of the crime in this country. At the prohibition time, I can say, people were taking alcohol from Canada to the United States, taking alcohol from Mexico to the United States, because people were not allowed to sell alcohol in the United States that time, at the prohibition time. So the bootlegging was a very, very active crime in the United States that time, the last century. So the 10th group of the Outlaws in the United States is the pirates. The pirates. This is people who were attacking the boat, the ship, and take everything inside. A lot of treasure people were carrying in the ship, in the boat that time. But at the sea, the pirate could attack these boats and steal everything inside, gold, money, because at that time, the main traveling machine was the ship, was the boat on the sea. So these are essentially the 10 group of the outlaws in the United States. The crime is so universal. You can find all this category of the criminals around the world. But we are just talking about the history of the outlaws in the United States. So to make briefly this reflection, we have the first group, the mobster, with their big boss, Al Capone. The second group, racketeers and gamblers, very, very active group in the United States in the last 2 centuries. The third group, the robbers, very famous robbers, were operating in the United States with a very famous woman in this area. One woman from Arizona with her children, with her husband, with her cousin, to make a lot of money, but to have a price for that. I think she finally lost her life on the robbery operating scene at one bank, I think in Chicago, something like that. So that was the third group. The fourth group are the computer criminals, people who know a lot about the computer, who became very corrupt, engaged in the fraud in the bank, in the password. They made still stole a lot of money from the banks. This fourth group, the computer criminals. The fifth group, I say, are the swindlers. They know how to talk to the people. They know how to explain and attract their prey, people they can steal easily. The seventh group, the terrorists. We talk about McVeigh, who bombed the federal building. Another group, the bandit and gunslingers, I say from Texas, in the state of Texas, the Lone Star State, produced a lot of bandit and gunslingers. So after the bandit and gunslinger, we have another group, according to the classification of the Justice Department. We have spies too, the espionage, selling precious information to another country. Both sides, from the United States, from Russia, from the Soviet Union, that time specifically, from China, from the United States, of course. We have another group, the bootleggers. The bootleggers. We say that you couldn't sell alcohol in the United States a little more than 1 century ago, because it was prohibited to sell alcohol. So people from Canada was taking alcohol from Canada, taking alcohol from Mexico, introduced those products in the United States to make a lot of money. It is the outlaws, the so-called the bootleggers. And you have another group, the pirates. They organize a very, very sophisticated attacks against the boat, the ship, under the sea, on the ocean, on the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the operations. So briefly, this was another part of the history of the United States. I will call the brief history of the outlaws in the United States. So subscribe to this channel, because we are going to talk about many things, good and bad life in the United States. Because don't forget, if you want to learn everything in the United States, you can, because you have a teacher for anything in the United States. Anything has his story in the United States. If you want to be a bad guy, you have your teacher here. If you want to be a good guy, you have your teacher. So it is a choice, a life choice issue. But for the people who can help you, you have them both sides. So subscribe to this channel. You can continue to see, to listen, and to understand the history, the great history of United States of America. Thank you. Good night. Have a good night. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye-bye.